Imagine boarding the most luxurious ship ever built. A ship so advanced, so massive, and so technologically impressive that many believed it could never sink. Thousands of passengers stepped onto the Titanic in April 1912 with dreams of reaching America. But only a few days later, those dreams would turn into one of the deadliest maritime disasters in history. This is the story of the Titanic, the ship that was called unsinkable, and the tragic night that proved everyone wrong. At the beginning of the 20th century, competition among shipping companies was intense. Everyone wanted the fastest and most luxurious ocean liner. The White Star Line decided to build 3 giant ships, Olympic, Titanic, and Britannic. Among them, Titanic became the most famous. Construction began in Belfast, Ireland. Thousands of workers spent years building the enormous vessel. At over 882 feet long, Titanic was one of the largest moving objects ever created by humans. The ship featured luxury suites, elegant dining rooms, swimming pools, libraries, and grand staircases. For wealthy passengers, it felt more like a floating palace than a ship. People believed they were witnessing the future of travel. On April 10, 1912, Titanic departed from Southampton, England. More than 2,200 people were on board. Some were among the richest people in the world. Others were immigrants hoping to start a new life in America. The atmosphere was exciting. Passengers enjoyed fine meals, music, and luxurious accommodations. No one imagined the disaster waiting ahead. The weather was calm, the sea was unusually smooth, everything seemed perfect. As Titanic crossed the North Atlantic, radio operators received multiple warnings. Other ships reported dangerous icebergs ahead. Several messages warned that the area was filled with sea ice. However, Titanic continued traveling at high speed. The crew believed the ship could handle any challenge. Many experts later questioned why the warnings were not taken more seriously. As night fell on April 14th, visibility became difficult. The ocean was calm. There were no waves breaking against icebergs. This made them harder to spot. Meanwhile, passengers slept peacefully in their cabins. They had no idea what was approaching. At 11:40 p.m., lookouts suddenly noticed a dark shape directly ahead, an iceberg. The warning bell rang immediately. The bridge ordered the ship to turn, but it was too late. The massive iceberg scraped along the side of Titanic. The collision lasted only a few seconds. Many passengers barely noticed anything. Some felt a slight vibration, others continued sleeping. But below deck, the damage was catastrophic. Several compartments were flooding rapidly. Engineers quickly realized the terrible truth: Titanic was going to sink. At first, many passengers refused to believe there was danger. After all, Titanic was supposed to be unsinkable. Crew members began preparing lifeboats, but there was a shocking problem. There were not enough lifeboats for everyone. The ship carried lifeboats for only a fraction of the people on board. As the situation became clear, panic spread. Families were separated. Mothers held their children tightly. Some passengers prayed. Others searched desperately for safety. The ship's musicians continued playing music to keep people calm. Their courage would become legendary. As freezing water poured into the ship, Titanic slowly tilted forward. The bow sank deeper into the ocean. The stern rose into the air. Lifeboats left one by one. Many were not even filled to capacity. In the darkness, distress rockets lit up the sky. Nearby ships were too far away to help in time. The temperature of the water was near freezing. Anyone entering the ocean faced almost certain death. Around 2:20 a.m. on April 15, 1912, Titanic finally broke apart and disappeared beneath the Atlantic Ocean. More than 1,500 people lost their lives. It was one of the worst maritime disasters in history. Hours later, survivors floating in lifeboats were rescued by the ship RMS Carpathia. The world was shocked. Newspapers everywhere reported the tragedy. Questions were asked. Why were there not enough lifeboats? Why were iceberg warnings ignored? Could more lives have been saved? Investigations led to major changes in maritime safety laws. Ships were required to carry enough lifeboats for everyone. Radio communications became more strictly monitored. The disaster changed sea travel forever. More than a century has passed since Titanic sank, yet its story continues to fascinate millions. It reminds us that even the greatest human achievements can be vulnerable to nature. The Titanic was built to symbolize progress and confidence. Instead, it became a symbol of humility and tragedy. And on that cold night in April 1912, the world learned a lesson it would never forget. The unsinkable ship had sunk. If you enjoyed this documentary, don't forget to subscribe to Dark History Labs. Here, you'll discover fascinating stories from American history, forgotten disasters, unsolved mysteries, and the darkest events that shaped our world. We bring you new high-quality documentary videos every week, uncovering the stories that history never forgot. Subscribe now and join us as we explore the secrets, tragedies, and untold stories hidden in the past. Thank you for watching Dark History Labs. Until next time, keep exploring the dark side of history.